Yeah, so we have this from Texas Scorecard. Texas GOP Executive Committee votes to delete Gab account. How did your state Republican Executive Committee members vote? So this shows, I guess, everyone how all of these individuals voted. They say during their quarterly meeting in Laredo this past weekend, the state Republican Executive Committee voted 35-25 to delete the Texas GOP's Gab account after much debate. Consisting of one man and one woman from each of the state's 31 districts, the SREC is essentially the governing body of the Republican Party. They go on to say Gab is an alternative social media platform, and wow, that's very stupid.
But yeah, on the one hand, that's a black pill because the party that's supposed to be anti-censorship and, anti-smears of bigotry and racism and anti-Semitism, things like that, is doing stupid things like this. But on the other hand, you look at this. This is the executive committee of the GOP party in Texas. It's not that hard to influence that if you get involved at the local level, at the local precinct level, and send delegates to the GOP convention and, make legislative suggestions, which anyone can do if you're a member of the party there. So, if more people did that, this would be a lot harder to do.
It feels like not just with these stories, but a bunch of other stories we've been hearing about through the past months. The system is just rotten to its core, and I don't see how we pull out of this tailspin. The foundation is cracking. It's like a building, and the wood is rotten, and the foundations are crumbling, and people are trying to come in and trying to hold the building up, but it's going down, man. I don't know. Look, people can be fairly optimistic, but you take a look at what's going on with Antifa getting released. They commit felonies and they're free to go. A woman, sells coffee and then she gets arrested. Big tech keeps doing this. The Republican Party is so pathetic and so weak that they've known about this problem for years and just sit there going, I don't know.
I think anybody that hides behind a political party is pathetic and weak.
But what do you do?
Start your own party? You don't need a party.
Sure. But regardless, the foundation is broken because there's too many people who are like, I have to vote Republican, otherwise a Democrat will win.
When you say the foundation is busted and the allegory of the building falling down, what is it? What is what is it? The system that you're talking about, like Western
literally
capitalism,
our country,
the United States,
the function of government and business is rotten to its core.
Specifically, just the United States.
I mean, other countries have other problems. I don't live in those other countries. I live in the United States, so I can talk to you about the U.S. I think other countries have problems. The U.K., whew. They got it way worse. That country is on fire.
I know.
Yeah.
A lot of countries
arresting
have it
a guy for making a YouTube video with his girlfriend's dog. Man, those people are nuts. But we got that stuff happening here too, to a certain degree. A guy getting arrested for posting for posting rap lyrics. They said those rap lyrics were threats of terrorism. It happens.
There was that Ricky Vaughn case as well, a guy getting arrested for posting memes in 2016.
Yeah, that's interesting because
which was copied by a left-winger who was not arrested.
The meme was like giving false information on how to vote or something.
Yeah, but then a left-wing comedian did the exact same thing, imitating this, and she's just fine.
Right. Yep, she made a video, I think, saying the same thing. Yeah, well, so the justice system is completely at the whims of the extremists. You look at the Chauvin trial. So this is amazing. In the Chauvin trial, you have this juror who lied, said he didn't go to these protests. He did. The Floyd family spoke there. Then he claimed he doesn't remember owning that George Floyd shirt. And then Jack Posobiec not only found a picture of him wearing it, but found a video of him in his own YouTube channel wearing the shirt. This guy's clearly lying. And you know what's going to happen? Nothing. There's not going to be a new trial. The system is rotten to its core. Mark Zuckerberg can do whatever he wants. They call him in over and over and over again. Nothing happens. It's a pressure relief valve. The system is corrupt. There's Democrats extracting all they can from the system as it burns to the ground, and Republicans are just also essentially getting as much as they can out of it while it burns to the ground, and just telling you they're giving you enough to make you think they're fighting back when they are not.
What was it? $1,600 checks they sent everyone that are worth. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say hashtag not all Republicans. Senator Bill Hagerty, the new senator from Tennessee, has introduced a big tech bill that's actually good. That
you know what? I sure not all Republicans. I like Rand Paul. We're singing the praises of Ron Paul. Ron Paul's a good dude. Rand Paul's pretty good. They're not all perfect. I like this thing about common cares, but let me tell you, man, when the Republicans had the power, they did nothing. Well, they actually sided with Russiagate.
That was in part because they weren't feeling the pressure from the base. When they feel the pressure, they actually flip pretty quickly. I saw this firsthand during the confirmation of Nathan Symington at the FCC. This was a guy who I knew personally was not bought by special interests, who was opposed to tech censorship, who'd worked on efforts against tech censorship. But Republican senators, they wanted an establishment guy there. So they were wavering. If it was left up to Republican senators, they wouldn't have let this guy through. But, at Breitbart News, it did, article after article, putting the spotlight on each Republican senator that was wavering. And, within, days of doing that, the senators all flipped and said, oh, yes, of course, we'll support Trump's nomination to the FCC. It is possible to accomplish change through the system, but only if you, keep the spotlight on these people, 24/7.
It's possible that because the traditional liberals have gone to sleep now that the Democrats have taken everything, come 2022, conservatives and disaffected liberals, moderates, the anti-woke are in full offensive, and the libs have gone to sleep thinking they've won. So maybe in 2022, the Republicans gain back the House. Maybe they'll get back the Senate. Maybe in 2024, they can get back the presidency. But I got to say, I'm not confident that even if they do, they'll do anything. Look, people like Ted Cruz, I think he's better than most of them, but I still think all of them are more worried about what the New York Times thinks of them than what their constituents do.
That's true. Republicans need to start ignoring the media. This needs to be the new paradigm.
Well,
and everyone, with a platform or in a position of influence, just ignore the media.
Absolutely, stop participating in their broken systems. These Republicans are probably sitting there thinking, well, if I actually do the right thing, they'll lie about me, and then I'll lose fund. Then people won't want to donate to me, and corporations will get scared. So I better just toe the line for what the media says. And thus, the media dictates what the Republicans do. The Republicans do just enough to make it seem like they're doing something, and they do nothing. So what happens when the Republicans actually win back these seats? Then all of a sudden, you're going to see them say, well, hold on, we need to have a hearing and slow down. We can't just do this. Democrats, on the other hand, are like rubber stamp it all, set the place on fire.
Dude, they're getting paid massive amounts of money to sit there and just field questions and talk about stuff. They're getting paid. They don't barely do anything. And then they're getting bribed by corporations to pass bills and to vote yes on stuff they haven't read. So busted. They
how many times, how many elections are we supposed to go through crossing our fingers? Right. I think one of the issues, too, is that millennials have only experienced so many election cycles. And so as the older generation starts to fade out and retire and stop paying attention or pass on, then you end up with the next generation of, Gen Xers and millennials who are just basing everything off of, we've been through 4 election cycles and we've seen this, that, and this. This is the time. This is our chance. If you took one person who was 1,000 years old, he'd be like, oh, yeah, this again. We've gone back and forth with this hundreds of times. Yeah, you're not going to get what you want. The system is a gross amalgam of weird, corrupt policies that don't make sense half the time.
And they'd also be like, don't break your country.
Don't break your country?
Yeah, just come on, guys. It's up to you. Please
no,
don't break it.
it's broken.
Well, they're breaking it.
There's people setting fires.
I know.
For over a year. The riots have been continuing. And then we get the FBI being like, these far-right terrorists are the biggest threat. And you're like, I didn't hear helicopters and sirens outside my house because of the far right. I didn't have to move an event I was putting on near my home with guest speakers because of the far right.
The far right was the terror. It was the boogeyman.
It was because Antifa called and threatened to burn the theater down.
Yeah.
It was because far left rioters crossed the bridge and started rioting in the suburbs. Yet I turn on the TV and the system is dominated by the cult. Mm-hmm. These people who don't care. And I really believe a lot of these people who go on TV, these Chris Wray or whatever, the FBI, they know they're lying. Of course they do. But they don't care about you. And all they care about is making sure the New York Times is nice to them. They're all more worried about what the New York Times has to say than the people of this country.
There was a Solzhenitsyn quote about this during the Soviet Union, something like, we know they're lying. They know that we know that they know that we know that they're lying, and we know that they know that we know that they know. That's what I was getting to. That's the point we're getting to.
There's a lot of traditional liberals who don't know anything. And it's the best example is that they've all gone to sleep. They're no longer paying attention to politics. The ratings are dropping. They don't care. They never cared. And it's scary that these people are empowering sociopaths and psychopaths. And that's true for Republicans, too. There's a lot of conservatives who go to sleep all the same, don't pay attention. And that's why you end up with a lot of never-Trumper conservatives who just all they cared for was the establishment. That's why you end up with Kinzinger in Illinois getting all this support and getting these votes. Because you've got people who just don't care.
Dude,
I think they're on the way out. I think Liz Cheney's on her way out. She might lose her leadership position. Kinzinger's going to be redistricted out, then he'll probably get like a position on MSNBC as a ex-Republican commentator. It's very popular. But they seem to be on their way out of the party, except for the really smart ones like Dan Crenshaw, who pretend to be all MAGA but are basically just establishment.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they have to pretend to be MAGA.
Right. Because I think that there's a lot of people who woke up due to the internet. They're paying attention now. They're getting their facts. They're watching shows like this, and they're realizing, the media's lying a lot. But the media is doing everything in its power to make sure they can maintain the facade. So one thing that's got to happen is YouTube's got to purge itself. YouTube wants to be Netflix. They don't want to be YouTube anymore.
Let me ask you a question. Let's ask everyone a question. What's worse, big media or big tech?
Big tech.
Yeah, tech.
Why would you say? I would say big media. Why would you guys say tech?
Because big tech can block you from talking to your own mother.
Correct, but what drives that? I think big media has driven most of the tech censorship. Because you see this happen, like whenever Facebook or YouTube doesn't move quickly enough. I'm not saying the tech companies are blameless, but whenever they don't move quickly enough, they'll start up these huge advertiser boycotts. They do against YouTube, against Facebook, and the whole panic around disinformation and fake news was started by the media.
Right.
If that hadn't happened, there would have been some pressure on the tech companies to censor, but it's only because of the relentless pressure from the media over the past 4 or 5 years that this has escalated so rapidly.
The Hunter Biden story was censored by big tech before there was any media. There were some tweets from journalists.
Well, I think it's gotten to the point now that they're anticipating what the media will do and what the Democrats will do.
The reason I said tech is because they can build the algorithms that you don't see, and that, with media, at least you see what they're feeding you, and other people are eating it. Maybe you're not, but at least you see it, that's what they're eating. But with tech algorithms, you don't know. Why am I seeing the things I think I like? I don't know, because some scientist in a room has decided that he wants me to see it that way, and I can never know because of the proprietary software.
I think over time, YouTube's going to slowly excise channels like this. They are doing everything in their power to make it seem like they're not banning or censoring you, but they will reduce visibility slowly over time. Go open a private window in a browser and then go to youtube.com, and you'll be like, wow, is this what people are watching? Yes, because it's the only thing they know. It's the only thing they know that exists, because it's what YouTube gives them. Open up a new account on Spotify. Here's the music they're recommending to people. We are in this small space of, I guess, I don't know what you'd call it, right? Initiated individuals, I guess is one way to describe it. People who have paid attention to politics, who know what's going on, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure that more people don't come into the space and just go back to sleep. Everything's okay. We're going to keep blowing up kids in the Middle East. Don't ask any questions.
Take the blue pill.
Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Actually, he didn't, but they told us that for years, and that allowed us to invade Iraq and station troops and murder. How many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of civilians?
Lots of civilians.
How many people have died?
Hundreds of thousands.
This is the same companies that are giving us the lies now about the far this and the extremist this and the color of that guy's skin.
And you know what the best thing about all of it is? In 50 years, if they win, no one will ever talk about this conversation ever again.
No one will remember. Yeah, it won't be in the history books.
It won't be in the history books. It'll be purged. It'll be excised from the great libraries of the digital cloud. And it'll never have happened. As soon as the generation that we're in passes, if they have their way, and it sounds like nothing's going to stop them because the Republican Party is a bunch of feckless losers, then we end up in 50 years with the Republican Party is a bunch of socialist otherkin arguing with communist transhumanists who have already integrated their bodies into robot bodies. And I made this joke on Twitter, but it's not meant to be a joke. It's the truth. In 15 years, you're going to have a young Republican being like, everybody knows that socialism is good, but these communists are too far left. That's the way it's been going.
You can see it happening.
Absolutely. You just need only look back a little bit to the 90s, to look back to the 2000s when Bernie Sanders is like, we need a border barrier. Hillary Clinton, Kerry, all these people are like, build the wall. Then Trump's like, okay, build the wall. How dare you? You're far right. Open borders now. The people who used to protest the World Trade Organization, this is hilarious. The battle for Seattle or whatever, the battle in Seattle. Remember that? I think it was late 90s. Huge World Trade Organization protest. It was the left saying no to this big free trade internationalist policy. Now they're for open borders.
The oligarchy co-opted their own opponents. I actually read an interesting article by Angelo Codevilla, former senator. He's out at the Claremont Institute. And I'm sort of arguing against myself here because I said, is big media worse than big tech? But what this article argues is that they're all interchangeable. Like the guy who runs the FBI, the guy who runs Facebook, the Democrat politician, the Democrat president, all of the guy who runs CNN, all of them are interchangeable elites working towards the same goal. The guy who runs the activist organization, also interchangeable. They trade places, and they all want the same thing, which is to reduce the power of the people and increase the power of elites.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.